Secretary of Government, moving Mexico. Hi, it's Colin Coward. You're listening to ESPN Radio 1700. Catching weekdays at 7 a.m. ESPN Radio 1700.
Today on Mike and Mike.
If a tree falls in the forest and nobody hears it, it'll actually make a sound. If Alex Rodriguez acknowledges something that everyone in the world in their right minds already knew, did yesterday make any difference in the big picture to Alex Rodriguez? And my answer was no. It was created, and it hasn't created sign of anybody. That's what was really trying to do.
Someone maybe watched it. Mike and Mike on ESPN Radio and ESPN2.
Yeah, Mike and Mike, ESPN Radio, represented by Progressive Insurance. Next Marines of Kobe Bryant today, your wife. The Subway Fresh Steak Hotline coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll go through the latest with him with the calves, with Derrick Rose and his ankles, with Kobe Bryant and his socks, and a whole lot of other things. So a busy morning. The news that just came out a little while ago, it's a huge news, no, but I think it's of interest. Tony Romo is practicing this morning in London. Remember, he didn't practice at all last week. He hasn't practiced on a Wednesday since week 2. So he missed practice yesterday, not news. Not news at all. It was today would have practice today, that would have been news.
Today was absolutely news because since they landed on
when they all went on Monday, he's been doing everything. He's been more engaged in meetings than he was last week when it was just about all rehab and ends up not playing. He's been more engaged in meetings, so today was the day, and he practiced today. So to me, unless there is a setback from practice where he really feels something, or wakes up tomorrow and he's in a lot of pain, I would say first team in hell will be playing. Again, they play Jacksonville in London, then they have a bye, so they're thinking maybe he could be trying to steal a win against a bad team without putting him out there and putting him in jeopardy of more injury. He didn't play last week, so he would have 3 consecutive weeks off. Otherwise, we have a fun hashtag working this morning. It's hashtag SkyBanner. Keep that coming. Again, some people flew a plane over the Jets practice yesterday with a banner that said "Fire John Idzik." A lot of people have asked if I was involved in that. I was not. I would not do that. I feel very clear about the changes I want to see made with the team that I root for, but I would never be involved in anything like that. I'm not connected to the plane. It's not connected to the billboard. But I do find it amusing with the use of the hashtag SkyBanner. If you had a plane and you could fly a message over anywhere in sports, where would you send it? I got some chatters here. A lot of frustration. Well, you can't fire the owner. Can't fire the owner. That's not going to happen. You know what? Listen, you run the half for your quarterback. Now you have to wait and see what the quarterback's going to get. The quarterback was back 1 game after dislocating his ankle. So let's see. We have to take our time. Unfortunately, with RG3, but after the concussion, it's been a knee. It wasn't a knee. Now it's an ankle. And you still hate it every time he hits the ball. You really do. It looks non-athletic for such an athlete. Big decision to make, too, at the end of this season. I never thought if they're going to extend him another year. And, Jay Gruden has made it pretty clear, at least in his mind, that that's the best decision to make. Is Robert Griffin III the quarterback of this team long term? Doesn't sound like the coach is convinced. He's not writing it off by any means, but it doesn't sound like he's fully convinced. Now, the perception is that everyone above him is without a doubt. And you know what? At the end of the day, everyone above him makes the decision. So he's going to be there. For barring another major injury, he's going to be their quarterback.
Tell my wife that sorry, I want a divorce immediately.
SkyBanner. I got a little timeline. I want to bring up to you about the A-Rod thing. We talked about this earlier again. For those of you who are just joining us and didn't hear this news yesterday, it turns out that basically at exactly the same period of time, Alex Rodriguez was denying to everyone who would listen that he was involved in any way with biogenesis and Tony Bosch and that he was using performance-enhancing drugs. The only people who asked him that really mattered were the DEA. And he told agents from the DEO, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the government, who can put you in jail if you lie to them, well, he brought PEDs from Biogenesis, paying $12,000 a month in the story. And it's really unappealing. I mean, injecting yourself in the stomach, in the bathroom of a nightclub, and just all the horrible things that you might normally associate with this stuff. So he sent me from the New York Times sort of a timeline of events with A-Rod, and it goes on. It goes back a really long way. Well, let's just look at the things that have happened here. In August last year, he had to deny that he was implicating other players. But there is a strong belief that he was throwing other players under the bus to try and include himself. His lawyer, J.P. then said the Yankees misread A-Rod about injuries, and A-Rod, the Yankees had to call back. J.P. says a confidentiality clause prevented him from discussing A-Rod's drug testing history. Major League Baseball agreed to waive the clause, and it didn't get anywhere. A-Rod then sued Major League Baseball. He called into question the Yankees and their team doctor. He sued his own union. He sued Major League Baseball and the players' union, and on it went. Now it turns out that at the same time he was doing all of this, which was obviously hideously bad advice he was getting from somewhere, he was acknowledging to the DEA that he was using. So I'm going back to the Lance Armstrong thing. What did everyone get so mad at Lance Armstrong about? It wasn't so much that he was doping, because it didn't come as a huge surprise to most. That it's the lying and the damage down the road. It's the taking down other people. It's even just one thing to lie. If I lie to you for my own personal gain, it makes me a liar. The lying and damaging the people going down the road of lying. That's the thing. Because if I'll just say it again, just to try to put it in my own life, if you ask me a question about even something relatively important, and I lie to you, but that lie only implicates me and it gets me out of trouble, if it really only affects me, I don't know who it is. And a lie is a bad thing to be. But lots of people tell lies. But if I tell you a lie, and in the course of telling you that lie, I then throw Cerruti under the bus. No, Ray did it. He said, you're dealing with Val Biz now, not me, and I'm pointing at different people around me. I need something worse than a liar. I don't even know what that is. It's one thing, people will call you a rat if you implicate other people when they actually did something. When they did nothing, and you're implicating them to try and save your own game, what is that even called? Called that self-preservation? That's called self-preservation. Self-preservation. You're doing whatever you have to do to preserve what you have. If that means throwing everybody else under the bus, it's degrees. It's degrees of self-preservation. And this is one of the worst degrees of self-preservation of lying. One is self-preservation of throwing people off the track. There's self-preservation of blaming others and throwing others under the bus. It all stems around self-preservation. Yeah. So I guess. But you guess. What's the other reason? No, that may be a reason. That's what I'm saying. The reason. Call it self-preservation almost sounds, I know you don't mean it this way, but when I hear that, it almost sounds like something that you can explain away in a reasonable way. That's why I just explained it. It has degrees. You can lie like you said that hurts nobody. You just lie. Or you can lie to throw people off your path. Or you can lie and throw by throwing others under the bridge. So there are degrees of it, but it all comes back to self-preservation. We always hear about the athlete or forget the athlete, real life. Why did somebody apologize? They apologized after they got caught. Usually for the money, yes, usually. And if they can find a way to continue to try and get out of it until that back is completely against the law, A-Rod was doing that to everybody except who? Except what was the real threat? Perjuring himself. Yeah. So he told every truth. Right? Yeah. Okay? And that's supposed to not get out. Right? So, but everywhere else, he's throwing everybody else under the bus. It's self-preservation. It's all degrees of self-preservation. There's another word that comes to my mind. I'm going to read you the definition of it, and you tell me if you think this rises to that. A person with a personality whose behavior is antisocial, often criminal, and who lacks a sense of moral responsibility or social conscience. Does this fit that? It's probably one of your words. It's not that complicated a word. Yeah. That's the word. Okay. That's sociopathic behavior. We can put what that is. We can put whatever word. No, but that's a big word. I mean, that's a pretty heavy word. And that's it. You know, that is where it's one thing to. Everyone has an instinct towards self-preservation. Right? It's a natural human instinct, the fight or flee and all that. Your natural instinct, I don't know, we're getting into a scientific discussion, has some sort of self-preservation instinct. But there are levels you would not go to. I know. To meet that. I agree. That's why you go beyond levels of self-preservation. Yeah. And he is at about the deepest level you can find. I work for sociopath is fine. I know you well, and I genuinely believe this. Okay? When you use performance-enhancing drugs to try and get yourself back on the field, if that had happened at a time when the climate of the tenor was such that it is now, where everyone was looking for that, and you were going to get, suspended and in trouble and all these horrible things, and you got caught, I know you well enough to know you would not have done this. Self-preservation be damned. You would not have taken people down. You would not have gone after people who knew you, people who supported you. You would not have done that. No, you would not. I can sit here and say, I don't think I would. I would have said, this is what I did. But, until you're in that situation, do you know? I mean, how far, as I said, there are degrees. I can't sit here and say, would I have tried to lie some about it? And it's funny, I will agree with you. I would not have implicated or tried to take down somebody who had nothing to do with it or was innocent. That I can agree with you on that. You are right. To sit there and say I wouldn't have tried to lie to get around it a little bit if it was just about myself, that maybe I would have done that. But to implicate others who shouldn't have been implicated and to throw them into my mess, you're right about that. I know you well enough to know I would bet my life you wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it. Would not have done that. But I chose the path. At that point again, it wasn't being tested, and I stopped. One of the reasons I did stop, because not long after, it was tested for. Mm-hmm. When I was, I didn't mess with it at that point. I hear you. But those are two. Again, it's one thing to lie about it. I believe you would have lied about it. Yeah. I don't believe you would have thrown other people under the bus to do it. Well, that to me is a whole other level. And I completely agree with you. Okay. Mike and Mike, we'll change the topic completely to one of the really good guys in sports. I'll join us in 60 seconds on Mike and Mike after this word from GoDaddy.com. All right, you're starting your own business. They're going to tell you you're crazy to put everything on the line to be your own boss, but not GoDaddy. Yep, they can help you put that idea or this business, thing you're passionate about, and get it online with their Get Online Today toolkit. You get a fantastic domain name, a professional website, personalized email powered by Microsoft Office 365. Now, that may seem expensive, but it is not. For a limited time, gang, and jump on this, GoDaddy's Get Online Today toolkit is just $1 a month. Just $1 with the purchase of an annual plan. GoDaddy provides award-winning phone and chat support as well. 24/7. Need help? Just call. Try the Get Online Today toolkit from GoDaddy.com. Web hosting and 24/7 live customer support. Gang, that's totally free. Check it out at GoDaddy.com/Mike. That's GoDaddy.com/Mike. Domain, including with annual plan only. See site for details. Much more cheerful. Mike and Mike presented by Progressive Insurance. Joining us now on the Subway First Take Hotline. One of the genuinely good guys in all of sports, and now one of the hosts of NBA Inside Stuff. Grant Hill is with us on the Subway Fresh Take Hotline. How are you, Grant?
Good morning, guys. I enjoyed that last little segment, and I enjoy and appreciate your honesty there, Mike.
Thank you.
That was obviously you played at a different time, but hearing your thoughts on that were very interesting. So good morning, guys.
Good morning. It's always a pleasure, and the only episode of Inside Stuff is this coming Saturday, noon Eastern on NBA TV. I'll have interviews with Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, and many more. Just a quickie on Anthony Davis, by the way. We'll get into all this Cavs stuff in a minute, but the emergence of him, I remember when he was playing that 1 year at Kentucky, Larry Brown came over during the NCAA tournament and said, guys, this guy is the next Bill Russell. And I think we all smirked at least a little bit at that. Right now, Grant, you're running out of adjectives. How would you describe what you're seeing when you see Anthony Davis and what you think his ceiling looks like?
I think Bill Russell, obviously, for what he does on the defensive end, and certainly what he did in college in terms of winning and leading that Kentucky team to a championship his freshman year, I think, with all due respect to the great Bill Russell, I'm seeing things offensively. I'm seeing things from him in terms of his skill level, handling the ball, I don't know if we've seen anything quite like an Anthony Davis. I mean, maybe a Kevin Garnett in his early years or his MVP years in Minnesota. But a guy who is that sort of multi-talented, kind of fills up a stat sheet, can do it a number of different ways, and is starting to change the conversation slowly but surely about the New Orleans Pelicans. But he's, I think, the future MVP. And I thought his emergence this summer, certainly last year, he took a big step from his first year to his second year, becoming an all-star. And now you have to say that he's, sort of one of those elite players. I think at the power forward position for the last few years, it's been Kevin Love, Blake Griffin, and LaMarcus Aldridge, and rightfully so. But I think you have to kind of put him in that conversation as one of the elite power forwards, one of the elite big men, one of the elite players in our league. And so it's fun to watch his development, his evolution.
Really is fun to watch. And the question for a little bit in the NBA today, will he stay in New Orleans? That's certainly a question for later down the road. Now the Cleveland Cavaliers, so much said about them once LeBron went back. So we're 4 games in. Frank, give us a scouting report.
Well, I think LeBron kind of warned us all.